Good. The tenants are out tomorrow morning and contractor's gonna meet them there with be ready to change the locks and start hauling off some old furniture and get going.
Did uh did the other tenant end up being an issue or no?
Uh yes and no. Basically they called Steven, the one who I've been talking to, called me Saturday morning and said, hey, the cops were just here. He's apparently been stealing from the neighbor down the street. As soon as she called the cops, he took off out the back door and they haven't seen him since. They said he doesn't have anything to come back for. I said, as far as we can tell, he's not here anymore and he doesn't even have keys or nothing like that. So as far as I can tell, he's moved out.
Problem solved.
Yeah. So
Well, good. All right.
interesting. Good first introduction to the tenant management.
Yeah. So now on to the rehab phase.
Yep.
Good.
So, all
All right.
good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I had a feeling. I understand the anxiety, but I had a
Right.
feeling
Yeah.
it would probably work itself out.
Yeah. Yep. So you ready to start the rehab?
All right. Let's see here. David, any updates on any of the deals you're working?
Nothing yet. I did get back from Burnett, and they're holding strong on that commercial property on their pricing at $1 million. So I don't know if we're willing to come up to it. So we're just kind of at a standstill at that point.
Where were you at on it?
We're at 800. Maybe I think 900 would work. I told them that it may work, but they'd have to give us a pretty good feasibility period to be able to do our due diligence on it. So we'll see what they say on that. But I think 900 is probably our max on that.
Got it. All right. And then you're going to reach back out to Brett.
Yeah. I already reached out to him, just waiting to hear back to see if he's got any more insight or if we could check out the property or, owner finance. I guess the owner is one of the, leases one of the spots out there. So I wonder if there's some owner finance availability there.
How'd you find Brett?
Yeah, I just came across that listing on 183. It's just it's got multiple, it's highway frontage and it's got multiple large tenants on there. So I liked it, but it's just a high price point.
Yeah. So what, 5 million or something?
Million at a 7% cap rate. I mean, it's just I mean, that was one thing I was gonna ask you guys. I mean, are y'all seeing, is the 1% out the window right now in regards to the 1% rule? Just because once you calculate debt service at 7% right now, it's hard to really.
Yeah. It's a very good question. I'm sure in some cases it works and some it doesn't. With debt being as high as it is hard to make a lot of these work. I mean, if your debt's going to cost you about 7.5, 7.75, then you really want to be buying at like a 9 cap.
Yeah, for sure. I think 10 is probably the minimum right now. It almost seems like, because just to make the numbers where even on some of these deals where I'm looking at that 90-56 rule or whatnot, even if that works, still running it cash flow wise doesn't work. So it's hard with trying to analyze these deals. But
yeah, it depends on.
One thing to throw out, I guess. One thing to throw out there. Tell me if my math is off, but I believe the 1% rule would be a 12 cap, actually.
Yeah, well, it depends on your operating expenses, and that's kind of the kicker is how much are your operating expenses going to cost you.
Right.
Sure.
But you're right, and just David, to think about that though, like 100K price, $1,000 a month in rent, that's 12,000 a year. So 12,000 over 100, just on like revenue numbers. Right. But yeah, for sure, just something to think about.
Well, it's interesting you found that one, David. Matt's really good friends with Brett. And like 2-3 days before you sent that, we were actually talking about this deal with Brett. So
Oh, okay.
you should keep exploring that one, and it was a good find.
Cool.
Yeah, I worked at the same brokerage as Brett for like 4 years. He's a cool guy. You'll like him, David. Build a good relationship with him, man, because he's a deal finder.
Okay, good deal. Good to know. Appreciate that.
Sorry, anybody else have any deal updates?
And then lastly, sorry, I'm still working on maybe looking at that hotel motel out in it's called Sky Inn in Rockdale, and it's trying to figure out if we could tour it, but based off of those numbers, it really just depends on that restaurant or if there's any wiggle room. But they are really, really interested in the owner financing part, but we haven't had that conversation yet.
Yeah, well, let's talk to them and see if we can set up a time to meet them.
Okay.
But that one is interesting as well.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions or deal updates or anything? Go ahead, Isabel.
Hey, so I have a deal that I'm under contract to buy this house for $225. But the lady wants cash. Usually I buy seller financing or however I can, but she wants to go on a vacation. The house the ARV is like $350. And I've got this plan for it, to rent it out as a group home. And I've got all this money potentially to be made on it monthly. And I found a lender who kind of does investor lending, who's willing to lend me 100%, because at the moment I have zip flat broke, and I'm $10,000 short. So I've been calling all day, people I know, everybody but Uncle Bob. If anybody knows any private lenders who do short altruistic loans of like 10K, and it's for turning it into a group home, and it'll have 9 beds. They're 600 each, and I'm already getting a waiting list together of people to move in. And it's actually across the street from me, so there's no HOA here, and I'll be able to manage it and all that. But it's the first group home I've done. I've done other like rent to own and other types of like exit strategies, but not this one. So I'm just getting started on that. And of course, like the curse is the perfect deal falls in your hands and you're sort of watching it go whoop. So
yeah, well, let's talk through this one.
Can I ask a question before we get into it, Alex?
Yeah.
How is a group home different than like renting out by the room, or what are you?
well, okay, same idea. Yes. So a group home is basically transitional living. So for different populations, and you can reach out to everybody in any whether it's veterans, disabled vets, adults in need of transitional living from whatever situation they're coming out of. And it can be they rent 6 months to 5 years, it's transitional. It could also be an elderly home but the key is that it's like you probably know this, it's a one bill, one payment, all bills included environment.
Yeah, okay.
And for group homes, they're looking for 2 beds per room, single beds. And you kind of prepare the house, put bed, dresser, nightstand in each room for each person, and then kind of equip the kitchen and the living room and all of that. And I would provide also house cleaning in that, because that's to my advantage to keep the house tidy and looking good. And then after that, everything else is taken care of by whoever is sponsoring that person. So whether they're there with the VA or some sort of sober group or women in crisis, whatever the organization is, if you're in a tough situation of any sort, you can call organizations, and one of the things that they help you do is find transitional housing. And so they need landlords who are willing to rent those. And so like I have a friend, he takes care of incarcerated people and then helps them transition into homes, because for a while all they can do is pay their rent and do their job, and don't just like they keep it simple.
Yeah, right.
And so
Okay.
and $600 a month, from each tenant, and it's a house. So it's just be like, here, I pay my electric bill, my Wi-Fi, my whatever, and that covers the whole house. But the math is straightforward in a sort of simple sense, in that you kind of take half of what you earn per month, and whatever your situation is, that should cover your expenses per month.
Mhm.
You know, debt servicing, cost of maintenance, you know, get a maintenance person, get all these kinds of things. So you're kind of like property managing but in a house. And the money it comes directly to you from the organization that provides you the person. So you work with social workers and different organizations that have all these people who are like, please help us, you know.
Yeah, wow.
What's a great thing though is if you're in a situation where that 1% rule is not working, that's always an option, because there's so much need for housing for people. And you know, all those like the government just poured, I think, like 2 billion into VA just like 2 weeks ago. And Texas just passed a law that they can't discriminate, HOAs can't discriminate against houses that have tenants who are receiving you know, subsidized funding for the rent, you know, Section 8 or others, you know, that could be Medicaid or whomever. So, but I found this great company you guys might be interested in. It's called the Investor's Edge, and they have a website, and they help investors finance all sorts of deals. So they're really interesting, and they're able to help me, but they need me to put skin in the game. And I had 25K and I just put it into another property. And so I'm like, I'm right in between. So
are you looking for partners?
I am looking for anything, sure. You know, ultimately I do want to own the home, but I'm going, all the houses I'm buying now forward, I've decided that's what I want to do. I mean, occasionally I love to help out a family and seller finance them in until they're all straightened out. But right now that's kind of where my heart is. So I've set up my website and my business kind of focused on this. So if not this one, it just would be the luck of my draw that the first one would sound so tantalizing and be like, you know, just like, oh.
Are you going to manage these, or are you going to have a manager who oversees
I think by the third I will have a manager. I work with a group of guys who do this as a business. They buy houses and open up group homes. So they work with all sorts of these, you know, all these organizations, and they know that they have the legal side, they have everything written out, you know, and I bought into it to help get me the training and the you know, like the rules, process, procedures, the legal stuff, you know, access to their lawyer and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I'd love partners, because it's just it's so important to do, you know. And the irony is that it's the house across the street from me, and our neighborhood is very chill and very nice, but if I don't get this house, somebody else will, and they will, sure enough, upgrade it, you know, all bells and whistles to 360, 380, you know, 400, and sell it. And then the rest of us in the neighborhood are gonna be like, because we can't even afford to be friends with our neighbors. So
David asked where it's located at.
it's in Temple, Texas. So I live here up in Temple, which is just about 50 minutes north of Austin. I lived in Austin for years and years and years and years, but I'm out here on the frontier. Turns out all the flat earthers, they're right.
Can you post
right here?
This is Isabel's been a part of the community for about a month now. This is her first call she's joined. Do you mind putting your contact information in the chat for everybody?
Oh, sure. Oh my gosh, yes. I'll mute myself, okay? And
No,
thank you guys.
And congrats on finding that one. I think that you'll be able to get a deal done. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or deal updates, or do y'all have deals that you want to analyze? Let's open it up and start knocking some stuff out. Or if anybody has a deal that they want to present, like Isabel, if you want to present this deal and what you want to offer someone to partner with you, we can go through that as well. Timberly's been really hustling, trying to find deals, and she's working through the numbers. Timberly, you feel confident on running your numbers now?
Somewhat. So I have better days than others with the math. Sometimes it clicks. The 1% rule clicks. It's the seller financing and stuff that, like, once I go through the problem, if the math doesn't work out, like trying to reorganize the deal to make it work, that's what I have issues with. So, and then it's kind of hard, like when I'm doing multiple deals and like the numbers, and then I'm emailing, then I go do something and then I come back to it. It's like, I don't remember where those numbers came from. So that's been a little bit challenging for me, but I'm just trying to send a bunch of deals over to you, even though I know they may not work out, so that I can simply understand the math. Because I really just want to understand the math. That way, I can take advantage of a really good deal when it comes about.
For sure. Well, you're doing a good job.
I have a really cool one in Beeville. I sent it to Matt, but I haven't really broke down the numbers and stuff. So I do have that available if nobody else has any thing that they really want to work on. That's just something that I thought of, but I don't have to do
I
that.
do think it'd be valuable to go through when the numbers don't work, what your options are to restructure the deal, right? So for everybody here, the numbers are not going to work 95% of the time. Otherwise, we would just be buying, deals left and right. Right. And so would everybody. If the numbers always worked and if it was easy and all those things, and there wasn't really a problem to solve, people would just buy real estate deals every day. But most of the time the numbers will not work. And so it's understanding that. And when the numbers don't work, a few things can happen. Either A, if the seller or whomever is unwilling to restructure the deal to figure out a way to make it work, then it kind of just sits there until either A, they get their price or the terms that they're wanting. But if they're overpriced, then they kind of just sit there for a long time until they become more reasonable. Or they, will come down to your number eventually. A lot of times, some of the best deals that we buy over the last year, few years, is we make an offer where we want it at, and it takes 6, 8, 12, 18 months for a seller to come down to the number that we need them at. But when they do, sometimes we renegotiate because a lot can change in 18 months, but we end up trying to bring the sellers down to the number that we need or to the terms that we need. So a lot of times that'll happen. Or what you can do is, like Timberly was talking about in the seller finance scenario, or like David's talking about with the motel in Rockdale, is you need to present some sort of situation where the numbers do work, right? So maybe you are getting them the price that they want, but they seller finance it to you with these terms and a payment that works for the cash flow that you need. And then in those scenarios, deals can get done as well. But I think everybody needs to understand that majority of the times the numbers will not work, and that's par for the course. But then from there, you either need to restructure it and negotiate or present options in a way that it does work, or if the seller is kind of stuck where they're at, letting them sit there for a long time until they become more reasonable and come down to where you need them at. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does everybody understand that aspect? Good. Well, Timberlake, we can analyze that one. Does anybody else have anything that you want to analyze today? Any sellers we want to call? Any brokers we can talk to? Anything?
Hey, Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
I have preliminary information on a owner finance commercial building in Luling. And I kind of wanted to get feedback from the group to see, is that even something, is Luling an area that we want to be looking at?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Eric Busker, can you unmute yourself and talk about Luling and what's coming there? He might be unavailable.
Oh, yeah, there's also background noise. Sorry, what was your question?
Just what's the viability of Luling?
Oh, Louis. I mean, there's a lot going on from a development perspective that direction. It's not there yet. But like if you were to draw a line connecting Lockhart and Seguin, which is basically SH 130, that's basically actively filling up with subdivisions. So it's not to Luling yet, but so if you're looking for like, starting to generate income now, maybe it's a year or two away, but it's heading that direction, and just with I-10 being right there and 130 being there, it's prime for a lot of different types of development, but access to major highways like that is pretty big for it. So I think it'll get there, but it might be a few more years.
Hey, Letty, what's Alex here? I grew up in Lockhart, so I know
Okay.
Luling really well. I agree with Eric. There is development, but that development is more towards the 130. The thing with Luling that most people don't realize is there's a lot of natural gas there.
Mhm.
And so because of that, in certain areas, especially when you're going, I would say east, yeah, a little east, there's just not much you can do there at all. Because of mineral rights or just pipelines going there. So I think for a commercial building, is it retail, I'm assuming?
It's actually office space, and it's in the downtown sector. It looks like it's 1 block behind Main Street
Mm-hmm.
on a corner lot.
And it's zoned off for like office use. Have you looked at the zoning?
It's zone C2.
Okay. I don't know what their municipality is. So I would look at what all you could do
Mhm.
for that. But I don't know, Alex, Matt, what do you I think office as an asset class where there's not a lot of population density and there's not a movement is a risky investment for the moment, unless 3-4 years, if you have the cash to just maintain it, or I would try to find a way to convert that into retail and make it local.
Yeah. Right now, we don't own any office buildings other than the one that we use. But right now, I think that it's going to be heavily dependent upon who your tenant is. And a lot of, just like in most cases, but right now specifically, I think a lot of office spaces are really hurting. However, it doesn't mean that it's not could potentially be a good deal. It all kind of depends on everything you haven't told us about it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I'm willing to share. I just don't have all the details. I just got the information, so I haven't even really looked at it much. It's downtown Luling district, zone C2, 3,500 square feet, 9 office spaces, a reception and conference areas, and it's vacant. It's on a corner lot. Like I said, it looks like it's 1 block off the main street, just from the pictures.
Mhm. Who's this? Is this from a broker or wholesaler?
Yeah.
Or?
It's from a broker.
Cool. Have you talked to the broker yet, or they just emailed it to you?
She just emailed it, yeah.
I would call her and we can call her together here, but I'd be curious to know, especially if she's local in Luling, I'd be curious to know why it's vacant. And also, what she views as the potential moving forward, right? And who the tenants might be, how much demand is there for this? Did the owner have it and they occupied it and they're moving and that's why it's vacant? Or have they been trying to lease it out and they're just unable to? I'd have a lot of questions regarding that and the potential of it, and the conservative, potential of it to see moving forward what it would look like.
Okay. Well, let me reach out to her and give her a call. It's actually a former TRE agent, Alex. So
Who is it?
Brittany Escamilla.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would ask her she's listing it or
No, she's presenting it. The listing agent is somebody different. So I can definitely reach out to both of them and kind of get that information and bring it back to the group once I have more info.
yeah, that sounds good. I would try and get on a call with the listing agent.
Okay.
And ask them all that type of stuff and see what their answers are.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Alex, do you have any deals you're working on?
Yeah, so when deals are, I was trying to catch up in terminology, like things you guys are purchasing, wholesaling, or just deals in general.
Whatever. I mean, so majority of people here,
Yeah.
I believe, are talking about like Letty, for example. She may be wanting to partner with someone and buy it. She may be looking to wholesale it.
Yeah,
So it just all depends. Majority of people, I think, are kind of looking at these from how do I buy this, or be involved in it, or raise capital for it in some way.
yeah, no, okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah. There's a couple of tracts of land that I'm looking in Southeast Austin. And so right now we're kind of doing a little underwriting to see if this is going to be viable purchasing. And then if we do purchase it, we'll probably flip it, wholesale it to some multifamily developers. So that's kind of biggest things we're looking at is just like proximity to utilities, because we know for a fact like a major developer and builder essentially bought like already 100 acres in front of these tracts. So we know there's going to be a lot of single family residents. And then there's another same thing piece of land that we're looking at to try to purchase because we went to like a Hayes economic development, and they're pretty open on they want certain type of single family resident out there, so like maybe buying it and replatting it, so same thing, just flipping the land. So with the multifamily, we would probably take it through feasibility, and then probably get out after that. And then through the other one in Hayes County, we may consider taking it as far as we need to with the entitlement process.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And this is what you and your partner do a lot
Yeah,
of.
that's kind of what we do. But I'm not, I think what I'm really excited about this group is like I'm not opposed to like, getting multifamilies out, out in elsewhere. Commercial, a deal's a deal, and if things that I'm interested in is maybe retail or something that I can add a value of, whether it's just maybe been poorly managed or anything, multifamily, obviously with cash flow, and land is something we're interested in as well. So pretty much it. And then the regular old commercial stuff of people trying to beat us up on a price. Maybe you guys trying to beat us up on a price. I mean, we're not coming down. We're firm on this. But that's what I got going on.
Very cool. Well, if you don't mind, I'm sure you did it last week, but can you put your info in the chat again?
Absolutely.
Just so everybody has it and they can
Absolutely.
bring any land opportunities your way, or anything
Yeah.
else.
And Letty, I can pull up, just what things are office spaces leasing for in Luling, easily, and that could give you more or less a better estimation of what they're asking for. Does it make sense from an investment perspective?
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Timberly, let's if anybody has anything, speak up. But Timberly, let's go through your numbers here and talk about how to view the deals differently when the numbers don't make sense. Does that sound good to everybody? I'm gonna share your email. Is that cool with you? All right. Let me know. Can y'all see my screen? Okay. Got to get rid of all these things. All right. So Timberly, tell us about this. This is the duplex, right? Duplex in Bastrop.
Yes, I gotta find my notes. I have multiple things, so I gotta figure out which one it is again. Yes.
Who here Who here loves numbers? So
I'm
I
sorry.
want to love numbers.
I think, anyhow, where do you guys find these deals? Alex, you guys are the king of these deals. So we can talk about that at the end. I definitely want to see Timberly's deal. So
no, go ahead. What was your question?
where you guys are finding these deals, like I'm maybe I'm a rookie in this, man. I'm just going from like searching on my own, but like Timberly, how'd you find that deal? Just cold calling and just calling them and say, hey, this is that.
It's out of the 600 or 700 offers that I've sent over to people. So one of those coming back. That's why I'm having a hard time going through my notes here, because I have so many deals that I'm like
Okay.
trying to I just sometimes I pick some numbers just to send to Alex just because I want to try to work through it, even though it may not work.
So you guys skip trace and bam, get on the phone, you know.
No skip tracing. Go straight to the MLS and I go through expires, withdrawals, and then on hold, and then I just kind of target stuff that's been on the market for a while, and then just calculate the price by 70%, and then I sent them over a template that Alex has, and put my name, put the agent's name, put the new price in there, and then I send it off and I just see who comes back. And then if they don't respond to me in 3 days, I go back and just be like, hey, are you following up here? And usually those people that don't respond the first time, they immediately respond to that second email.
Mhm.
So
Cool. Alex, if you don't mind, send me that sheet.
it's in the there's the templates in the Facebook chat.
Okay,
I'll-
all right.
Scroll down.
I'll send it. I'll send it and I'll post it again. But what Timberly is talking about, she's taking the shotgun approach of just blasting offers across the MLS, like tons of low offers, no due diligence put into the offers, and ultimately just looking for someone to respond back with some level of motivation to negotiate, and then kind of focusing in on those.
Love
Okay.
it.
I
Sorry.
can't find my notes, but I can go off of I guess our emails and stuff. So basically this one's just it's just a condo. There's 4 condos in a unit together, so this one's just separate. So I offered them the 419, and they came back and said that they're countering at 525. And they are open to some seller financing. And oh wait, no, this is a different so scroll down, Alex, because I think there's 2 on this one. So the more practice math one, yes. So this one. Okay, so yeah, they are actually getting less market rent than what I put in there, just because the tenant's been there for a while. So with my comps and everything, I got 1750. And then I just started working the math best to my knowledge. And then I kind of hit a rough spot whenever I got to the negative cash flow. And then Alex asked me how we can make this deal work. And I have no idea how to do that from the numbers that I've got to try to figure out the seller financing.
All right, so let's dive into it. And stop me for anybody who has questions. Y'all can see this pretty good on the screen. So I asked Timberly to break it down, and she broke it down like this. And thank you for doing this, Timberly. It's much easier to read through when it's broken down like this. So what she did is she took first the rents, right? So we got, what we're doing right now is we're running the numbers on this deal. One of the most important numbers that you need to know is how much income you're going to get, right? So she did 12 months of rent is 18,900. How much is that per month, Timberly? Was that like 1,700?
1750.
1850?
No, 1750.
1750 times 12. Everybody understand that? 1750, which is monthly rent. I guess y'all can't really see very well. Times 12 equals the annual income of 18,900, right? Now this is assuming best case scenario that it's occupied 100% of the time.
I did 90% of the time for this one.
So this is 90% of 1750 times 12?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good. So she's already accounted for 10% vacancy on it. Now, why would we do that? Why would we account for 10% vacancy? Why wouldn't we just use 1750 times 12?
Because more than likely you're gonna have somebody moving out and you're not gonna have somebody occupying the property the same day or the next day. You're gonna have to do a make ready or clean up on the property. And so therefore you're gonna have a little bit of vacancy. And so you want to be able to compensate for that.
Yeah, and even if it's already got a tenant in there, is it wise to underwrite it assuming 100% occupancy all the time?
No.
All right, good. So we got that. Where's this one located, Timberly?
Austin.
All right. So now that we have our income number and this 1750, is this top of market? Is this fully updated?
Yeah, it's updated and it has access to a private pool that the
Okay.
condo shares. So I made sure to make my comps be like an updated one that was within the same square footage and everything.
So you think that in its current condition, without doing work to it, it'll rent out for 1750?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I think I even got higher than that with like 1800, but then I stuck in between with 1750 just to be safe.
Okay, good. Everybody understand what she's doing there to figure out the rental income number? All right. So next we start subtracting our expenses, our operating expenses. Now run me through management. So Timberly accounted for $3,000 in management expenses. Why'd you choose 3,000, Timberly?
Honestly, I just used it from like a past deal that we were running numbers and kind of compared the property with to use that number. I don't really know what all goes into that. Or I know the insurance can vary, so we talked about that the other day. But as far as maintenance and management go, I just kind of used the numbers that we had been toying with before.
Cool. All right, well, let's break it down because you're actually a little bit high there. So what percentage of rents should we allocate to management for, some single family duplexes, quadplexes, very small commercial, 8 units or so?
Is it 8%?
It's going to vary, right? But it would be 7 to 10%, give or take. Here in Austin, you're likely going to pay 7 to 8% on management fees. And what they do is the managers will receive your rent of $1,750 and they'll take out their management fee of 7% of that, minus any other expenses that they have to handle and pay for, and they'll send you the rest. And so they'll take their, 8% off the top. So, and this is not including leasing commissions, any other fees, maintenance markups, all that type of stuff, but just strictly the management fee. So what is 8% of 18,900?
$1,512.
All right, let's just keep it round. 1,500 for management. Everybody see how we got that? All right, next, insurance. Letty here is actually an insurance agent and owns an insurance company. So Timberly wrote 1,500 for insurance. Letty, does that sound about right? For a 237 price, leasing out this property to a tenant.
Yes, that's pretty accurate.
All right, good job, Timberly. For insurance, if you need an insurance quote, you should reach out to Letty. Letty, can you provide your contact info in the chat?
I sure will. Thanks, Alex.
All right, taxes. Taxes are pretty easy to calculate. Why is that?
Because they typically have it in the listing notes, like the breakdown of it, and yeah, it's also public record.
Right, so even if it wasn't listed on the MLS, you could figure out what the taxes are, correct?
Mhm.
All right, so we've got that here. Is this accurate, Timberly? 9,000 for taxes?
Yes, I got it straight from it.
All right, good. Next, we got maintenance. How did we
Which-
come?
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question about the taxes. Like, it's so high, 9,000. So like, obviously in Austin, they're more expensive, but I was curious, like with it being a unit, and even though there's probably individual owners of each of those 4 condos, would they would that 9 be times 4 for the whole building? And then they divide them by 4? Like, how does that work? Because that's so high. I'm asking because I don't know at all.
Yeah, I mean, each owner would be, so like if there's 4 separate owners for 4 units,
Uh-huh.
each owner would be responsible for their portion, their taxes.
Okay.
I don't, for this specific scenario, I don't know if this is 9,000 for 4 units or 9,000 for 1 unit. Did you
Okay.
verify that?
No, I didn't verify that on the CAD.
It does seem kind of high. What zip code is this?
Let's see.
Where's this property at? What's Austin, like 2 point something percent?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, like 2.2, 2.3, depends.
Yeah, this is almost like 3 point.
So this one is no.
Northeast, southeast, southwest, you know,
It's 78704.
taxes aren't that high there.
What's the address?
802 South First Street. Number 114, Austin, Texas. It's in Boulding Creek. Bouldin.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the taxes here. Someone let us know if 9,000 is accurate. All right, maintenance, $2,000 a year for maintenance. Talk to me. How do we get this number?
Again, that was just one that I had used from a previous deal.
All right.
But maintenance,
So maintenance is going to vary depending on the deal, right? So if this was a property that was built last year and it's in really good condition and they built it well, it'll likely not have much, if any, maintenance. If the property, was built in the 80s and hasn't really been updated, and it's got, a roof that's 10 years old and an AC unit that's really old, it's likely going to have some maintenance, right? You're going to be able to kind of tell, depending on the condition of the property, how much maintenance you're going to have. And there's just going to be shit that happens. Like prior to this call, right when I was getting in here, I was talking to our property manager, and at one of our fourplexes, tenant sent us a picture today of what they thought was insulation coming through their AC vent in the ceiling. And I looked at the picture and I was like, that doesn't look like insulation. It looks like hair. So we sent a contractor over there to look at it. And sure enough, there's a dead possum in their ventilation system. Another tenant at the same property also submitted a maintenance request today and said that their AC is not working. And so in the event that we have to spend $400 or something on that AC unit, just paid that contractor a couple $100 or something to go over there, take care of that problem and another one. And one day we just spent, $600 on 2 units, right? Now, next month, we may not have any maintenance requests for those units. But there's always going to be stuff that comes up. And if you have tenants and you have a property that is not in the best shape or is a little bit older, you're always going to have something, right? And even if you go 11 months here without a single maintenance request, if on month 12, the tenant calls you and says the water heater just went out and my AC is not working, boom, you just spent $2,000, like that. So I think what you have here is pretty good. You've got about like $170 or so per month allocated to maintenance. But just know that it could be more, it could be a little less, but at some point in the future, you're going to pay for maintenance. So we'll roll with that. Another thing we don't have in here is the HOA fee. How much is that per year?
I think I did calculate that in somewhere.
Kimberly, is this a quadplex?
Yes, it's listed as like a condo, but it is like a fourplex.
Okay.
Yes. Or no.
I think taxes around 4,600. I saw the property for that specific condo.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think you got the HOA fee up here, right, Timberly?
Yeah, I think I calculated it in already somewhere.
Well, it's not in these numbers. HOA is 227. Is that annually?
Yes.
All right. So minus the HOA, 227. If this was a unit that the owner was responsible for utilities, you would want to also calculate that as well into your operating expenses.
And you get that from the T12?
If you were buying something like that where they had previous history of that, yes, you could get a lot of these numbers from the T12, management costs for the last year, maintenance costs for the last year, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, utilities. When you're buying typically a commercial apartment, 5+ units, they typically will have these numbers. If you're going to buy a duplex, a quadplex, most people don't keep or send you a T12 of the duplex or of the single family home. But if the owner is paying for them, you could request those numbers and get them from them.
Okay.
All right. So do this math for me now, Timberly. What is 18,900 minus 1,500 for management, minus 1,500 for insurance, minus 4,600 for taxes, minus $2,000 for maintenance, minus 227 for HOA.
9,073.
All right. And what is that number? Your income minus your operating expenses gives you
The annual income, the 18.
Yeah, your income minus your operating expenses gives you what?
You're no I.
Your net operating income.
Okay.
All right. And so your net operating income does not include debt, right? If you bought this property cash for 237, and assuming all these numbers are accurate, you would get a $9,073 cash flow and return on it.
Okay.
So based off your NOI here and your purchase price of 237, what cap rate are you buying this at?
Oh, goodness, I don't remember how. Oh, you
You're-
do the NOA, do you do the NOI divided by the purchase price?
Correct.
But what if I don't know the purchase price that I would need to be at? How do I do that?
Well, you got a purchase price here. But if you know what cap rate you want to buy at, like earlier I said, you want to buy it at a 9 cap,
Mm-hmm.
you'll take your NOI and divide it by 0.09, and that'll give you a price. But the
That-
sellers, what is it?
It's 108.11.
So that's if you bought this property in a 9 cap and all these numbers are accurate, that's your price. But the sellers are typically gonna give you a price that they want, right? And in this
Right.
case, it's 237. So what cap rate? If you bought it at 237 based on this NOI, what's your cap rate?
230. 0.03.
All right, so it's a 3% cap rate. Is that right? Sounds about right.
Hope it is.
Okay, so 3% cap rate's not great. You calculated your debt payments at $16,000 a year. So based on 237, 7.75% interest, 20% down. That means you're gonna be negative about $7,000 a year. You'll lose $7,000. So obviously it's not a deal, right? Based
Right.
on this. So what are our options? So this is where I said, so what do we need to do? And you said significantly lower value, which is accurate, but what are our other options? So we know what price will work utilizing buying at a 9 cap. You said it's 118,000.
Yes. No, it's
Alright.
$811.
All right, it's probably unlikely they're gonna sell there. So what are some other creative ways we can figure out how to get this deal done? Everybody, tell me.
Yeah. Are you talking about the owner financing it?
Seller finance, that's one option. All right,
You can do seller finance.
what else?
Sub 2.
Sub 2 could work. What is that, David? Tell everybody.
My understanding is essentially you'd be taking over the owner's current mortgage at their rate and term.
Yeah. Say, for example, they had a loan in place that was, say you pay, 237 or whatever they wanted. You give them 20% down, but you take over the remaining balance at 3.25% interest rate, and your payment's much lower, right?
Right.
Therefore, it could work in that scenario. If everything was set up for it. What else? What are some other creative ways y'all think you get it done? Maybe they want to partner with you.
Yeah, you could JV something like this and you give them a little bit of equity and you say, listen, I know this is what you want, but I just can't get there. But I am willing to offer a little bit of equity into this condo. So that's an option.
Yeah, try and partner with them.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else?
How would you partner with them if they are represented by an agent? Like, how does that work? Because I've never came across anything like that or know how to do that.
Well, I mean, these are all just hypothetical answers and made up scenarios that we're about to say, but you'd want to figure out like what's really important to the seller. I've had a lot of listing agents that we've spoken to, and they're not selling the property, right? Seller may be in a bad situation. Seller needs to do this. Seller's loan's about to mature, whatever the scenario is. And a lot of times, I try and set up calls with the agent and the seller and see if I can understand what they really want, what they need, and what they're willing to do to try and get a deal done here. But I mean, the listing agent doesn't call the shots, the seller calls the shots. So in the event that they weren't able to sell us at 237 and the seller needed a solution, hopefully the listing agent would be willing to facilitate some sort of conversation where you could discuss this.
Okay.
But even if it wasn't listed, I mean, potential, like Alex was saying, that maybe they want a JV and allow you to come in and partner. Maybe they just need 20K and they're like, I'll give you 50% if you can give me 20K and you take over management, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. A lot of people don't really know that all these options exist. A lot of people really think that one of the, if not the only way to sell my house is to give it to an agent and let them list it on the market. And they don't really know that all these other options are out there.
And a lot of these listing agents kill deals all the time just because they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's go through this, Timberly. Let's run through the seller finance tweak. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Can y'all see my board better now?
Yes.
A little bit. But it's good. It's good. It's good.
Yes, I'm doing the best I can. Sorry.
I know.
All right, so your NOI based on these numbers is $9,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this is your net operating income before your debt, then what do you need your debt payments to be? Below, at least. You need it below your NOI. Otherwise, you're losing money, right? So what you could do here is you could say, what's 20% of 237?
47.4.
30-something thousand.
All right, let's call it 40K. So that's gonna be your down payment, right? All right, let's say, look, seller, I'll pay your price. I'll pay your 237. I'll put down 40,000 at closing. I would run them through these numbers and I tell them, look, I want to get at least $4,000 a year in cash flow because I'm gonna put down 40,000. So I want a 10% cash on cash return. So I need 4K a year in cash flow. That leaves me with $5,000 left over. Difference between NOI and cash flow. So that means I can pay you $5,000 a year in mortgage payments or $600 a month. Is that accurate? No.
450.
Yeah, it'd be whatever, 450.
415.
Yeah, for 17.
All right, I'll pay you $417 a month. And I'll make mortgage payments to you, but I'll give you 40K now. I'll take over the property and I'll pay you $417 a month, and that will allow me to rent this out and get the cash flow that I need. If they're like, no, 417 is way too low. That's way too low. I'm like, okay, I can pay you higher. Let's say I'll pay you, say they need 700 a month. What does that put my annual at? 7 times 12.
84.
84.
You math genius, you.
He's got his calculator.
Oh.
Just joking. 84. So if that's the case, then that means my cash flow is only going to be how much? 9,000 minus 84.
How much?
600 bucks.
673.
All right, let's call it 600. So in that case, if you want 700 a month, then I'll put down $6,000. I'll pay you 700 bucks a month. But I'm only going to get $600 a year in cash flow, which is likely going to go away after a random maintenance request. But I'll give you $6,000 down. I'll pay your price, and I'll give you your monthly payment. But I need this down payment of 6,000.
How'd you come up with the 6,000, Alex?
It is
10.
10 times what my cash flow is going to be.
Okay,
So if I put 6,000 down and my cash flow is 600, it's still giving me a 10% cash on cash return. And if they come back and they say, no, that won't work, that's ridiculous, you know, $6,000 down is, you're not going to have any skin in the game. Okay, what's the minimum you'll take down? Well, I need at least 15,000. All right, well, I'll give you 15,000, but we need to adjust the payment to whatever it is. And I need the purchase price to be 250,000. So $23,000 less than you currently want, or whatever, right? And I'll adjust these numbers until we figure out what they actually really want, which is some sort of in this made up scenario, it's some sort of, you know, balance between a high enough down payment and a high enough mortgage payment, which we can adjust these numbers to give us what we want. And we may adjust the price as well to buy it at a lower price to give us what we want too. And so we can adjust all these numbers back and forth until we come to some sort of deal here where it makes sense. Like, I'll even think about it like this. What if you end up losing, let's say they want mortgage payment high enough where you lose, I don't know, $2,000 a year. I mean, $2,000 a month, but they sell you the property for 50 grand. You know, would you do that? And you walk into 150K in equity, but you lose 24K in cash flow the first year. But after you buy it, you could list it and just get your.
I mean, you could, but I mean, want the cash flow.
Sure. But I mean, if you're not holding on to it and you sell it and you just.
Yeah, if that's your strategy going in, that you don't want to
The reason I
long-term rental.
the reason I brought it up is I was teaching this class to a real estate team last week, and I asked them, I said, what in the seller finance formula, what's the most important thing? Like, what do you want? What's the most important thing? And it was a trick question because there isn't one. But they said cash flow, and I would be willing to lose $1,000 a month if I walked into 500K in equity. I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
500K versus negative 12K a year, and then refinance, figure something else out. So cash flow isn't important if we're getting enough equity, right?
Makes sense.
I'll also pay $500,000 more for the property if they'll give me $100 a month mortgage payment, right? And I can cash flow, whatever the cash flow is. So whatever the variables are that are important to the seller, we can adjust other variables to still make it a deal for us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hey, Timberly, quick question. Where did you get that rent? It says 1750. Where'd you get that rent roll from? Where'd you get that number from?
That was one of my comps.
Okay. I think that's short for that area.
You do? Okay. They're getting less than that right now. And just based off of what I tried to find, that's just what I kind of came up with. Because again, I did see some that were like 1850. But they had a little bit more square footage.
Okay. It's a good area.
Yeah, it's a nice complex or a nice condo. But we ran the numbers off of 237. That was my offer. And she had came back and said, she was like, she keeps saying please after everything that she sends me. And she's like, please come up on price. So they want more than what I offered. So anyways, I just wanted to have an email to be able to give her a breakdown of some stuff and let her know why this wouldn't be a good deal at this price or how it could work.
Yeah.
Really, the one thing I would mention, as you know, making all these offers, everyone usually counters and the issue's price. But some agents don't really know about owner financing sub 2 creative strategies.
Right.
But I had like a cut and paste almost on all these replies where it's like, I understand the price is too low. I can improve the price if the owner is willing to do seller financing or let us take over payments on an existing loan. Just try and like spell it out, because if I use too much jargon, an insecure agent's going to be like, no, they won't do that.
Yeah.
But and then I probably get a 20% reply to that. What kind of terms are you talking about? So it just opens up the dialogue. And I do what Alex did and say, well, okay, I was at 223. I'll go to 2. I don't even really care about price.
Yeah.
I'm sort of backing into my cash on cash. So I'll do like 275. And then I usually hit them with like a 3 to 5% down payment, 10-year balloon. And then I figure out what's at least a 10% cash on cash return and say this would be the interest only payment to your seller. I don't even really go into interest rates because they're dreadfully low.
Yeah.
But and then you probably get a 5% return on that, saying they need at least this much down to cover closing costs. So at least we're getting like the wheels turning.
Right.
And then we can pull those levers of like, okay, well, I'll do 10% down, but I do need a cash flow. I do need to make a little money. I'm not a charity or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'll bump up the down, but I cut and paste it. Thank you for the reply. Please let me know if anything changes, if the seller is open to owner financing or letting us take over payments on existing loan, or what other investor friendly deals do you know about that we can do together? That last third element gets me about a 15% reply. Hey, I got this old soggy moldy listing that they need to sell on 123 Main Street.
Okay.
Cool. I go and pull it up. Okay, for 123 Main Street, I'm at X. So just to help a little bit on the burnout, because I can get it, everyone can get it if you're making these offers.
Yeah.
Having a good reply that sort of holds their hand to understand owner financing and creative financing.
Yeah. I have something kind of like that. I don't have anything about like breaking down the seller financing like what you're talking about, but I usually have, thanks for the replies or anything else, blah, blah. And I've gotten some responses from that and people sending me stuff. But would you be able to send that template over to me?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it right on I can put it in the chat so everyone can see it, but it's nothing fancy. I just try and hold their hand a little bit on, most agents know what owner financing is, but if you start to say sub 2, subject to, most of them, their brains explode and they say no.
Right.
So that's where I say take over payments on an existing loan, but I'll just put in the chat real quick.
Okay, thank you. Alex, do you hear any more from Sean today?
No, don't expect to. Do you want to update everybody on Sean?
So there's this really cool like a apartment complex kind of thing. There's 2 buildings and I think there's 2 buildings, right? Or is it 4 buildings? I can't remember. Anyways, there's 21 units in total, 2 units. And it's a pretty cool little area in Austin. They're really, really short-term rentals like Airbnbs. But we were looking at it as a long-term rental. But anyways, this was one of my offers that I had sent over, and I had been talking to this guy. And he immediately responded with, that's land value, and was like blowing me up. Anyways, I talked to him for about a week, and then he puts me and Alex in a three-way chat. And it turns out Alex had been talking to him on the side about a deal that I didn't even know about. And he's like, I'm assuming this is your partner, yada, yada, yada. You gave me 2.8 million. He's giving me 2.0. Please tell me this is a typo and it's supposed to be 3 million. Yada, yada, yada. So he's been kind of like ripping me and Alex's heads apart in each way. And he's desperate because he doesn't have a buyer. So he tried to threaten me on Friday with giving him an offer, or else he was going to list it. But then he had said, and if I list it, it's going to go fast. And I knew the way that he worded it, he wasn't going to list it. So of course he blows up my phone a couple days later. And then, yeah, me and Alex were like, what?
Is that the one, Alex, where all the numbers are based on Airbnb?
Yes.
Yeah, it's based, it actually is listed. He's actually got it listed on the MLS 22 unit, which is
Yeah.
odd. But anyways, they just want too much for it. I offered 2 million, which is about half of their asking price. They're willing to consider somewhere around 3 million, but it still doesn't really make sense there with long-term tenants. So what are we going to do, Timberly?
We're going to wait for him to come back.
Yep. Just, I mean, I propose solutions where, just like we just did, where we seller finance it. I'll pay 2.8 million if you give me a mortgage payment low enough to cash flow, but they're unwilling to do that. And so we're just gonna let it sit and keep checking in with them, letting them know we're serious, we're closers, but we're not going to come up to a price that doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I emailed him back and I just said, hey, I can't meet you at the 3 million, but I'm going to stay at my original offer of 2.8, which it was actually like 700,000, less than 2.8. And then I said in the email, I had said, if open to seller financing, what would those terms be? So I wanted to get a clear idea of what they would be interested in so that possibly he could come back and tell me, and then we could structure something that way. He said he's going to present it to the seller. So we'll see.
And then in the meantime, just on to the next.
Yep.
Cool. Does everybody understand how to change perspective on deals when you run it and it doesn't work or it doesn't make sense? Change your perspective of how you're looking at it and what other options might be available.
Yes, this definitely opened up my eye. I know that there's a lot of things available. It's just like actually running through the stuff for it to be able to click and be like light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. I have to be able to go through the motions before I pull those things for me.
Cool. Anybody else? Anybody have any last minute things before we get out of here? We've got a couple of our new members in here. Isabel, glad you're able to introduce yourself. Alex, thank you for putting your stuff in the chat. Be great for everybody to connect outside of these meetings too. Get to know each other, be active in the group. I mean, we got 12 people here now, including Matt and I, so 10. It'd be great if all 10 of y'all figured out what the other was doing, what they're looking for, how y'all can help each other. There's so much that all 12 of us here can go accomplish if we get to know each other, work together more, and help each other out. So I just encourage everybody to do that, and let's all grow and work together.
Sweet.
All right,
Hey, Alice, can I ask, are you guys all in Austin or where are you guys located?
Georgetown.
Georgetown. All right, you're almost a neighbor.
Alex in? Me?
Yeah,
I'm in
go
Austin.
ahead.
I'm in Austin. Yeah, Austin. I don't know. I never know which Alex.
But from Lockhart.
Lockhart. I'm from Lockhart, but I'm in Austin. Yeah, this is where I do real estate here in Hayes County.
Rob, where are you at? Where are you located at?
Up in College Station.
All right. All right. And then Isabel, Tammy's Liberty Hill, Letty's in Buda Driftwood area. David's out in Burnett area, right, David?
Yeah, pretty much Georgetown to Burnett.
Linnell's in San Antonio.
Matt asked me to explain to Alex the challenge that I did. Did you want to know about that, Alex?
Sure, yeah, I mean, you're inspiring me to hustle. I feel like I'm not even working now after hearing you guys. Jeez.
So the challenge was, Eddie was in here earlier, but he did it with me. So prior to it, I was already sending some offers, but Matt did give us a challenge. It was supposed to be for
Waiting on me? You
No,
need something?
David, you're not muted, David.
Anyways, the challenge was for 24 hours. We had to send a certain amount of emails, offers, and then we had to send one email to an investor an hour, basically giving them an actual deal with the breakdown and why we think that it's a good deal. So just one of those per hour. And then I think it was just 5 initial offers from wherever. And that was 70% of the value. And then we also had to update every hour on our social media and tag Matt, something that we either learned or something of value to share. So we did that. Me and Eddie didn't do the full 24 hours because I mean, I needed sleep. I'm not ever one to stay up past like midnight, but I did resume as soon as I woke up. I did it for 24 hours. I had some things that I went out and did during the day. And so I actually stacked up some emails so that when I was out during that hour, I had them to just send so that I could still meet like that quota per hour. And so it was a really good challenge to know like how much you can actually accomplish within an hour for sure. And it was definitely a confidence boost as well, especially with posting on social media every hour with like my face and talking and everything like that. So that was definitely challenging because I had never done that before. That's not something that I do. And yeah, it was very, very valuable. And out of it, I mean, I'm still working on like some emails that just keep coming back to me about those offers. I sent one contract over 20 grand below what I told them I would give them for it. So now they're kind of sitting on it and I'm waiting to see if they're going to come back. It's some land. So that's kind of cool. And then, yeah, so it's just something different to jump on and do. And it was like not planned. It was like totally last minute. Just like, here it is, take it, let's go. And it's like, oh, okay, let me finish my dinner and I'll get right on it.
That's awesome. Well, I'll let the group know that any land, especially more than 10 acres that you guys ever come across, and you're looking, maybe you have the contact or relationship, very much like Matt and Alex, my partner Dustin, we're all about partnership, and we have no problem coming in, helping out, maybe even syndicating some of the money, maybe even finishing out development and having you guys as partners, or even flipping it as well. So land is what we like, but also any kind of like commercial or failing businesses is we have a buyer, we have an investor for businesses that need help. So anything you guys find, y'all have my info. I'd be happy to partner with you guys and just help in any way. This is really cool that we're bringing this together. So
cool. Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Y'all go get it. Reach out if you